Hello. Welcome to Free Photo Tip Friday.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing great. How you doing, Alicia?
I'm good.
I like your blue shirt. You look like a Cali girl with the muscle shirt on. Who is that? Is that
Madonna.
Madonna?
No, I'm just kidding. This is what's her name? Marilyn Monroe.
Oh, Marilyn Monroe. Yes, yeah. Good morning, Denise, and everyone else who's joining us. Thank you so much for coming on. This is, I think we're up to photo tip number 20, but I know it's way more than that. But we have officially 20 of these photo tip videos. This is number 20. And today we are going to be talking about connection. So those of you who've been on with us before know that here at Live Wonderful, Alicia and I have a goal, right? And it's not just take great photos of you or teach you how to take great photos, but it's how do we really bring our story to life, right? So today's word, we're going to give you, a couple great tips about. Actually, I got a couple tips in my mind around the word connection, but I kind of want to come back to that original purpose of what it means to live wonderful, because if we don't build that connection from the get-go, it doesn't matter how perfectly you plan out your lighting and your poses, you're not going to get those epic shots that you really want. So,
Right.
So we're going to show you guys a couple pictures. Alicia, do you want to start or do you want me to start?
Yeah, I can start. I'll go through them fairly quickly because I want to see what you've been doing.
Okay.
Let's see.
We're going to show you some portraits, okay, guys? And I think Alicia's got a wedding shot or two. But I want to focus first on capturing people and what it means to create a connection. And we're going to do two things. That's a cool shot. I love her tattoo in that.
She was so beautiful, and the back of the dress is huge. I was like, whoa,
That's awesome.
This is so neat. But yeah, so creating connection in a different way through our photography is very important to Danielle and I.
Yeah, and we're gonna talk a little bit about from beginning to end of a photo shoot and how to keep that connection thread through an entire client process from booking to delivering final photos. I want to hit that whole process today. But let's talk about the given, okay? Let's talk about the obvious first. The connection we're talking about here is an emotional connection, right?
Very much.
And I mean, I want you to tell the story about this, but it's obvious as a wedding, right? You're creating that connection of love between, a husband and a wife. But what made you pose them like this? Talk about the pose and what that really felt like in a way.
I did not. It all happened very naturally. And I knew from their engagement shoot that they were so connected soulfully and spiritually beyond. I was like, I don't even need to tell them what to do. They just oozed this connection between the two of each other. So she was actually very late to her own wedding, and he was nervous. He was drinking a little bit too much. And they did a first look, and I set him up outside, in this area, and she just came up right behind him and gave him this really sweet connected hug. And I could show the next one, but I didn't even upload it. But it's so beautiful. He just like relieved, and he felt.
What a perfect story. Like, she literally late, he's nervous, and then she just holds him, right? She just wraps her arms around him like, I got you, I'm here.
I got you, we're good.
I love that. I did not know that about this. So, something, I didn't know what picture Alicia was going to show, but guys, she made a really good point. A lot of times our job is to find this balance between creating a connection and actually, as the storyteller, disconnecting so that the natural connection can just happen on its own.
That's so beautiful to say. Yeah, say it like that. I like that a lot.
Like, you really do. You almost have to go, do it. Because if you touch any amount of that moment that's happening, you've ruined it all. It doesn't matter how well you think it can go. You cannot create what is already naturally going to happen.
And this was a couple that I knew I could let that happen with. Some couples want to be directed.
Yeah.
This, I was like, no way, I'm letting this flow. So yeah, let those connections flow sometimes and disconnect. being so structured in a way.
Yeah, and there's a balance between, you want a vision, right? So one of the things we always say in our classes is you got to know why. You got to know what your intention is. You have to know what your goal is, from obviously their goal is to capture their wedding, but what's your goal as their storytellers, to keep peeling away at these layers of who these people are, especially if you do an engagement shoot and then a wedding. And pulling out their personality and characteristics. I love that she came up from behind him. So kind of, let's talk about this pose for a minute, guys, when it comes to the word connection. This is a very, it's not very different, but it's not your typical pose, right? There's something about the woman embracing the man that has this sweet little, I do it to Jim all the time. I reach under him and like wrap myself into him. So there's something about the way they're connecting where she's pulling in, she's leaning in, but look how the groom is like leaning back into her as well.
Yeah, I love it.
The points in which the cheeks are connecting, but you still have light hitting that side of her face.
Mm-hmm.
The little bit of space between his neck, so you get that light and structure.
Mm-hmm.
Her chin isn't like shoved up on his neck. There's space happening. And then again,
organic S happening too.
Yes. We talk about that in our portrait workshop, right? Like you want to create that S curve, that a little bit of depth, if you will, to feel like you're in the scene with the person. You're not looking from far away. So, I don't know if anyone else notices this, but even her forehead is closer to the camera. He's leaning a little bit away as he's leaning back. So even that their positioning is creating a little bit of that cross S curve in your depth of field as you're seeing it, straight on from the camera. Mm-hmm. So look for ways that you can create more engaging connections in your poses, okay? And then, this is key, and this only comes really with experience, so just get out there and shoot. But this is not a smile Alicia could have told them to make, right? These are she shot before and she shot after this, and somewhere in there is that natural, relaxed laugh, hint of a flirty little, you could see the woman's not in her full smile yet, but the guy's in, a bigger laugh. So again, create that connection. You've got that pose and let the story unfold, but then there is a matter of a tendency to overshoot a little bit because you need your camera to capture something that's naturally connecting, and you're not going to be able to know it's that moment. You need to go and somewhere in there you're going to find it.
Right. I'll show one more and then you get going on yours, but let's see. I have to close this. Another connection that was beautiful was between my friend and the dog, and there's such a beautiful story behind this puppy. She died very young from cancer, but she is a mama, she's a dog mama. She doesn't want children. So there's a very beautiful organic connection that she feels with her dogs, and especially this one, and she'll have these, forever and to cherish. And that is, I'm telling you, that dog just like fed right into her. And
that's her mama.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming you didn't really direct her in this pose either. She just naturally was kind of, ruffling into his face. That's how she is. So a lot of times, guys, that natural story that needs to unfold, you have to watch the connection happen. You're not going to be the one actually creating it, but you've got to step back and just be witness to it. And again, keep that why, keep that story in mind. Like, what is that feeling, that emotion that I want my viewer to connect to? If it's a natural, candid portrait shoot, you got to be a fly on the wall and kind of let it unfold. So I love to, I know we haven't hinted too much on angles and perspective yet, but we have talked about perception.
Mm-hmm.
So let's these words are kind of synonyms, okay? You have perception is your idea or your interpretation of what's happening. And then you have this connection that you're trying to build, this story. So if you guys take some of our tips from last week and you think, okay, what's my perception of what I should be showing in this connection? Whether she knew it or not, Alicia went down to create a straight on feel to this connection of, mom and dog. So if she had shot this from up high, maybe it would have been cute, but it would have never shown that feeling of connection the way straight on and those noses touching.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's lifelike.
It is. Yeah.
It becomes lifelike, and you're in it with them.
Exactly. You're in it right there with them.
All right. Let me get out of this, and you go for it.
So I'm going to bring up two different shoots. I'm going to share my screen with you guys. I just finished these shoots and the clients have seen them. So I figured this would be a great chance to share them with you guys and kind of analyze them. Hold on one second. Can you see my screen?
Yep.
So this first one I want to share with you is a high school senior. And so let's think about that story, right? And set aside the challenges that this year's high school seniors have over a normal senior year. Mm-hmm. In general, the story we are capturing is this, young adult going out and competently finding, themselves in the world, right? So we really want to represent who they are right now. And the balance is always, how do I create that kid-like fun that they still have in them, but also show off their maturity and how they're growing and becoming a young adult. So connection here on these three, I want you to think of this as a series because that's the connection, that's the story I was creating. I didn't just want her hands on the hat smiling at the picture. I knew I wanted her looking down. I wanted to create a different kind of connection to her subtleness, right? So having someone look down is a great way to just connect in a different way to the shot. I know you have a lot of great ones like that too, Alicia, where they're just slightly looking off camera. Mm-hmm. So it's like it's disconnecting, but it's connecting in a different way by not letting her.
Connecting to themselves a little more, like a little more internal.
Yes, it's more.
Like, I'm confident. I'm beautiful. Like
yes. And then I wanted to show you all three of these together to show you that you can create different looks in the same shot that connect to the viewer in a totally different way. Yeah, so if I never told you a high school senior and you just saw this, you might think it was an ad for the hat. She's just being confident, model-esque self, right? Mm-hmm. But this, and this could be an ad for the hat too, but this says, look at me. Like I'm happy, I'm bubbly, I'm out there. And this says I'm shy and sweet and still innocent and cute and young, which she was all of those things. These are the final pictures she liked. That's why I knew I could share them.
You're showing that she's all these vibes. She's connecting with all these different characteristics within herself, which is wonderful.
And then I'm gonna bring up this point again on the next two pictures, but let's talk about connection in a different way. So we've talked about the emotion and the story side of it. How about connecting to the physical elements in your scene? So what are we always creating? We're creating with light, focus, and motion. So notice how the first one is much more warm and bright. It's even a little bit more close cropped. But she just has this sheen of glow across her face. I then slightly moved. She didn't move. I slightly moved and I tilted this way. I turned a tiny bit and all of a sudden I lost that spill of glow across her face. And she's got a little bit more definition. You can see her freckles and the color of her hair's right in these second two, right? So I remember being in this moment with her and thinking, ooh, I could create two different feelings of light here. That's going to create a different connection for her, right? She might connect more to this bright, glowy look, or she might connect more to this realistic, I'm in the shade of my hat look. So subtle changes. I'm literally going from here, click, click, to maybe 1.5 inches I'm turning. and the light completely disappeared from, not completely, but it pulled away from the front of her face there. So think about how you're connecting to the light. And of course, my focal point is her eyes, right? So let's talk about connecting to light, motion, and focus with these two. Mm-hmm. The first one, great, she's comfy, it's adorable, but how much more engaging is that second picture? Simply because she's kind of connecting, she's leaning into the scene, so she's connecting to you more, she's leaning towards the camera. And then again, it's a little bit brighter. I'm overexposed on, I think the first one I'm overexposed by 1 stop of light, and the second one I'm like almost 1.5 stops of light I'm overexposed. So on the meter, guys, I'm past +1 when I took these shots. That's how much in the shade we were. But you just, Alicia, step in here anytime, but do you see, or do you feel the same way I do, that second shot, it just creates a bit more engagement and connection with the story and the viewer?
I absolutely do. I think you hit it on the head. The first one's just basic, it's cute, but for some reason, how she kind of leaned on her front knee, and then you gave the photo a little bit more depth of field, probably with some aperture change, or you just kind of zoomed in closer.
I think it's a little bit of both, and because she's leaning. So guys, think about this. If my direction is this. She
engaged with you and the camera a little bit more, and I think that's where the connection happened more obviously in the second photo.
Yeah. So
I think a little bit more on her level too. It looks as if you dropped a little too.
I probably did. I came down a little bit more, but she also came down. So I probably just moved with her. Mm-hmm. And again, so the trick here to engaging in a portrait is to bring the upper body, especially the eyes, this part, closer to the camera. So in the first one, she's straight on. It's cute. It's fine. But this is a bit more dynamic. It's going to bring those eyes and that connection, focus, whatever you want to call it, forward. It's going to pull you into the scene more to where you want to focus.
Denise asked a question. If we use a reflector to eliminate face shadows.
Yes. So there's a big reflector, kind of right off to the right on her here. And so she's backlit as well, remember. So this is morning light, guys. This is about 8:30 in the morning in a park. And so we're starting to get that harsher light. You can see the shadows on the ground, but I have her blatantly in a shadowed area. There's a big tree up there covering that shadow. And then I have it's probably a 45-inch reflector. It's pretty big. I don't know if you can see me, but it's as wide as my hands can come out. And it has a couple sides on it. I was probably using silver here. I probably wasn't using the gold side or the white. So I was probably just using the natural silver tones to pop there. And you can see that too. You can tell I'm using a reflector just by looking at that catch light in her eyes. Mm-hmm. Sorry, it's still loading there.
Yeah, I have a very early morning beach shoot tomorrow that is a 1-year-old cake smash as well, but family. And I hate bringing my off-camera flash with the umbrella diffuser or whatever, because it always ends up flying over if it's windy or whatever. So I might use the reflector tomorrow, and I haven't in a long time. So this is kind of inspiring me to do so.
Yeah.
Even if I have to hold it myself a little bit or lean it up against me or something. I mean, we'll see.
I don't have it out, but
mine's a little bigger than the one I left you there, but
this shoot I used a one that's about twice the size of the one that you left here. And I have an assistant holding the reflector right where I need it. But another piece of advice too, when you do want to use a reflector, guys, I actually just purchased a clamp that sits on my light stand. Yeah. So the clamp can hold the reflector at any angle I want. And then you don't need an assistant.
You can invest in that.
Yeah. It's like $10 on Amazon. Go get it. It's awesome.
So good.
Okay. So, totally different shoot. I'm going to flip through these quickly as I tell you the story. So Kimberly Mackey is a business and branding coach. So she works with a lot of entrepreneurs and helping them build out their stories, similar to myself, but she focuses more on the business side of things, your product, your packages, how you're selling your product. So I wanted to create a whole gamut look and feel for her, where she could be versatile and share her different types of connections, whether it be in social media or on her website was a lot of the reasons we were pulling these. So when I'm doing a brand shoot, and again, Alicia will jump in, but I know she feels the same way about this. There's such a balance between creating that personal connection with this human being you want to trust and see in a photo, and build that confidence, high-end, professional, polished look. There's a balance, right, between let's look casual and trustworthy and friendly, and let's look like we have everything together and we are perfect and there's nothing wrong with us and we're flawless. So here's engaging, friendly Kimberly, right? The head tilt. The head tilt is not always going to fall in place perfectly. I did a lot of head tilts. But I typically will end after a standard smile. I will say, I will have her tilt. I'll do it too. And from behind the camera, guys, if I want any subtle changes, I do them myself. So I'll say, because they're looking right at me, right? So I'll say, tilt your head like I am right now. And she did. She tilted, right? But I'm not going to start her here. I'm going to start her straight on and then see where that connection changes as she kind of falls into place and tilts her head back. So this was friendly Kimberly. This is more professional, posh. She's got, and if any words jump out to you, tell me, Alicia, but she just has more of a polished look, I feel like, here.
Absolutely.
How much more?
Oh God, the head is so important. And where their face is or how their head's tilted or chin down. I'm always telling people chin down, like chin down, and then move your face, because sometimes they're looking too far away. You really need to connect with them and have their head either on you and a little bit tilted, and you get a completely different look. So this, I can only imagine how professional she wants to look, but she wants to feel connected to her clients and feel relatable. Like they want to come. So you're telling her story and making her feel relatable as well. And that's someone that they can trust.
Yes. And I've had my lighting assistant step in for a few shots. We're going to darken her on these a little bit. I'll bring these in. I don't like how bright.
It was a great spot that you got to work with, the couches, even the color of what she chose.
Oh my gosh.
The professional look matched like the couch and everything. Like it looked perfect.
Yeah, it was great. We were going to recreate the look here in the studio, which I could have done. But when I got to her apartment, it's a condo building. I was like, there's no way. This is ideal. Her color.
Couch.
Yeah, the couch. So her color is that teal. And that's why when we picked out that outfit, I'm hinting more on the branding side of things, guys, but I wanted this word connection to kind of give you a gamut of the whole scale of things, right? So in the branding session, it's really about color and matching that brand and feel to the emotional trust you want to show in a story when someone goes to your website. But it's also about the aesthetics of a website and marketing. So bringing those pillows in the back made the shot. It pulls you in. Having her hold her gold glammy glasses, it pulls in the yellow warm tones to her face a little bit more. And I might have taken 500 pictures of her over. This was a very long shoot. It was about 4 hours, but she's got 5 epic shots that she's going to use. She's got a lot more than that, but these are the ones that are going to be after narrowing down to the best ones, these are the ones.
My branding, corporate shoots are about that long too.
Yeah.
because you're telling their story, how they're performing their practices as well. So this is cute.
Yeah.
I do love the one where her head's tilted, and I feel more relatable to that woman.
Yeah.
Connected to that woman. But I agree, the color, the the vibe, it's all about connection. And we can backtrack to everything we've done before, but it's all kind of connecting, the dots.
And notice how she's leaning forward in this shot too. So when you really want that, in this picture, the story is, I'm here, I'm ready for you, right? She's kind of leaning into the shot. Whereas here is, I'm casual, I'm relaxed, I'm here with you. So same here, I'm ready for it. I'm leaning into whatever we're doing. So the way you pose someone and pull their face towards the camera and angle is gonna help create that connection as well. So I hope you guys like this, seeing some of our shots as we're going through it. I like to give you guys variety as we're sharing these tips every Friday. If you have any ideas or suggestions, or you want to see more of a certain type of look, let us know. I wanted to bring up a couple other points that are a totally different way about connecting, and it's about your digital connection, your computer, your camera, and how you're connecting and making sure all of your pieces are in place. So when I first, what you're seeing right now is Lightroom. I think most of you who've been in our classes have seen this before, but one of the biggest things I always do after I'm done a photo shoot is I immediately connect my card to my computer and load all my pictures into Lightroom, and I do a once over. I glance at the whole shoot and I reconnect with what I just did so I can learn from it, so I can make sure I'm happy with them, the overall feel. I can go back to those moments where I might have been challenged and, look at them and study them a little bit harder. So keep your connection in mind too. What is your why? What is your goal for your photos? Even if it's landscapes and travel photos or just your own personal shots, do you want to print them? Do you want them to go to Canvas? Do you want to pick out your best ones and share on Facebook? What do you want to do with them, and how are you going to connect with them over, as time goes on? Getting them into Lightroom is going to help you make that decision. So make sure you guys are loading your pictures into your computer, and make sure you have enough, two things, enough memory space to connect.
I can tell you right now, my external crashed on me the other day, and I had to go buy a new one and make a new connection.
Exactly. So here, let me pull my screen back up. So we are constantly thinking about how we're keeping the connection of our digital files going. Are we storing them and backing them up correctly? Do we have quick access to them? Am I connecting the right keywords to images?
See, I need to get better with that. You do really well with that. I need to work on that.
I don't do as well as I should, though, because I really do think sometimes these words come up for me to learn from them too. I'm constantly like, Kimberly, shoot, there could have been other ways. Her shoot was great, but I think about prior to the shoot, how I prepped her. I could have connected a little bit more and prepared her. I ended up choosing to connect with her in a different way because she was extremely picky about her shots, which a lot of people are. That's natural. So something I did, which I recommend to everyone to do, if you are shooting someone and you know that they need your help in picking the best ones. Some people might be able to pick right away and they love, and they're like, I like that one, I don't like that one, I like that one, I don't. I knew she needed help, so I made her come sit down with me and we looked at them together. And that was a way for us to reconnect on a personal level again. And now we're going to be working together in other ways too. She's actually doing an online magazine. So use that word connection to keep connecting with the people that you're photographing too. Absolutely.
Oh yeah, that's my favorite thing about this is people and seeing where it all goes.
Absolutely.
Last thing too, so on the opposite side of the spectrum, but I realized that sometimes I am not as connected with my equipment as I should be too. Like, you know, when you buy something expensive, you want to take care of it. Like, keep that connection, like clean it, take care of it. I got to a shoot the other day and my hot shoe on the top of my camera was so dirty that the connection of my, you know, my yeah, for the flashes, whatever, the trigger would not work. So I had to clean it on the spot on my shoot. I was like, oh, if I just took care of this a little better and was connected more with my really expensive equipment, I'd be good.
You know, and that's a good point. Connect. You learn from this when you're on a shoot, but something else she could have done, guys, is found out at least right before she left for the shoot. So connect with your gear before you get in the car and go to your shoot. I literally will turn my camera. Of course, you're checking to make sure you got the battery in the car.
Right.
That's normal connection. But I also look at my camera and I check and I'm like, what do I think my ISO will be? And I set it. And then I look at all my other settings and my buttons and my screen. And in that moment, Alicia would have found out her hot shoe was a little dirty, tried to connect her camera. By the way, guys, I don't know if Alicia does this, but an eraser, a pencil eraser will disengage the electronic friction issues with a hot shoe. So if you ever, and guys, the hot shoe, I don't have my camera out right now. The hot shoe is the part where the flash attaches, okay? Alicia's talking about a radio trigger you put there instead, and then your flashes are on camera. Yeah. Yeah.
My flash wouldn't even work if if the hot shoe, the metal is not clean. So
that hot shoe is the part that you slide it into. Take an eraser to it on top of your camera, and it'll make it.
That is awesome. See, learn something new every day.
Yeah. I had to do that all the time in the studio. If you do studio work, you're spending an hour prepping and connecting to your gear before anybody walks through your door. So connection, guys, we talked about it. Wednesday wisdom is a word that just is really good to anchor you into the moment. It should be in every single second when you're behind the camera. You should feel connected to your gear, connected to what's going on around you, connected to your subject. And we're always adding to that connection to really not just bring the story to life that you originally thought, but to bring an even better story to life because you're diving deeper into that connection with people and your subjects. Great questions today, guys. I'm glad I showed you those shots of the reflector because
yeah, me too. Looks like
it's a whole nother level of playing. And, you know, we're going to talk about that stuff more at the end of next month. Alicia and I are putting together we're calling it Warrior Weekend. And we're going to be doing all day Saturday and all day Sunday, more advanced photography classes online and here in the studio. But mostly the goal is to do it online. So you'll see us here, but we'll be together. Alicia's coming into town again. We're coming. So Saturday is going to be beginner and advanced photography. We'll definitely be talking about reflectors and other kinds of lighting in the advanced class. And then Sunday, we're going to do photo editing and advanced editing and retouching as well.
This is August 29th and 30th. So.
Yes, I'll go ahead and put that in there now so you guys can check it out. It's livewonderful.com/warrior weekend. If I think I put the code in there. If you want to do all 4 classes, there's an $80 discount code. So they're $95 each, all 4 for $300. So you get almost a free class out of it. Tell all your friends and family, come join us. It is for everybody who's just starting out with a camera and for those of us who are ready for that next level. We're going to dive into more advanced settings in that Saturday afternoon class. So if you're already off manual mode, this is the class for you. This is the next level. And between now and then, I hope you guys get your cameras out, get out there, go connect, go shoot, have a great weekend. The weather's supposed to be great down here. At least we might have a hurricane in the works, but we won't go there yet. Us Floridians know better than to talk about hurricanes until they're right in front of you.
I know, oh my God.
So go enjoy the weather. Have a great weekend. You too, Denise. Thank you guys for joining us.
Have a great weekend.
We will see you next week. See you later. Bye. Live wonderful.